I think you noticed a little bit yesterday already with the whole chakira. Is it boina? Is it seiser? Is it a tiltal? Is it shimush? Is it? I think you could tell already that my hergish is that these chakiras are not going to make so much of an afkamina la'alacha. Not going to make so much of an afkamina la'alacha. What I mean is that I imagine, and that's the pashtus, that if you see a Rashi. One place Rashi says, one place Rashi says, it's seiser. You have a ritva telling you that you're being mevatel from your oinik Shabbos by taking away your kalim. You have a Rashi somewhere else telling you that you're making something muksa. You're making something muksa. You have the Shulchan Aruch over here in Siman Shin Yud, in Sivav, when the Shulchan Aruch describes this mevatel kli mechane, he says, Kol davar she'asur l'taltel. So asur to put something under it. Why? Mipnei she'asur kli b'tiltel. You're not allowed to asur from tiltel. You're not allowed to asur from tiltel. My hergish is that everything here is time with the crow. That's my hergish. There's the time of the crow. There's the reason the Chazal asur, and then there's the the gather of what they asur. Right? In other words, I think the Rishonim, Achrayim, everyone was so bothered over here, like your wives were. What is this thing? What is this thing? I mean, it's not a one of the 39 malachas. It's not even Xera. I mean, it's not even like Xera. You're not allowed to sweep the floor. Because you're not allowed to sweep the floor because if you sweep the floor, you need to come to smooth out the floor. Half the gzeras that we have in Chazal. You're not allowed to listen to music because if you listen to music, you're going to come to fix the instrument. You're not allowed to play an instrument on Shabbos because you'll come to fix it. It's not even a gzera. What is this thing? You're not allowed on Shabbos to make an item unmovable. So what is this? What is this? And that's why you see that the Rishonim, the Chayim, they're all grappling. It looks like boina. It looks like you attached it. It looks like a malacha. It looks like this. You made it muksa. What is this? It seems to be these are all time with the crow. It's all time with the crow. What do I mean time with the crow? I mean that Lamaisa, whatever the reason is, I don't believe that it's going to make an afkamina la'alacha. It's not going to make an afkamina la'alacha. And now you know why Chazal aserd, baina, seiser, etc. Right? And it could be maybe the ikar is like the Shulchan Aruch says and like Rashi says in Daf Mem Gimel. The ikar is that making something muksa. That's what Chazal wanted to aser. Because that was the reason. Looks like boina, looks like seiser, etc. But to say that this is going to make enough gemina is not so big. I think it's more important now to get the kedarim that the Shulchan Aruch and the Paiskim say over here. Like for example, now we know what's the problem. We were clearing yesterday a bittul of the shimush, a bittul of the tiltal. It sounds like from the Shulchan Aruch and from the Mishnah Berurah, bittul of the tiltal. If you make something unable to be metaltal, that seems to be a problem. Now, if you would go like that, we're going to get stuck. We're going to get very stuck. We saw a lot of Chayim, Svasemis, and Rishon Mizaman for sure. In many places in the Shmir Shabbos, in Chav Beis and Dalit, in other places, he brings down different situations of where things are going to not be able to be moved. Things will not be able to be metaltal, and Afal Pikein, it won't be a bittul kli mechana, which in Mitzvah Hashem we'll talk about today. But again, that's all going if you assume that you have to, go with the books, the time of the Krah. You attached it to the ground, you can't move it. You were seiser, it's shimush, it's tiltal, you can't move it. You made it muksa, you can't move it. So then here also, you made it that you can't move it. But again, this is time of the Krah. The Chazal astered bittul kli mechana, being mevatel kli from its shimush, from its ability to be metaltal. They were astered it for whatever reason they astered it. They asked it to the bayna, the saisa, etc. They didn't want a matzav of where you can't move around the kli. You had a kli that was movable. But if it's a davar pashit that if that's only time with the krah, then the gather of the krah is like you're seeing. Mevatel kli mechanai. Does it make any sense? Hayitachin that if that's what this kli is oimid for. The kli is oimid to we'll see in a moment. Let's say blowing your nose or whatever, right? The kli is oimid for that. Hayitachin that on such a thing it's possible to say mevatel kli mechanai. That's kind of the heritage that you have to have over here. At Kamadat, the time of the krah is the gedder of the krah. It's the lumdis. The lumdis is you attached it. Now you can't move it. So I attached it. Now I can't move it. So that's it. Let's say we'll talk soon about we'll talk soon about toilet paper or whatever, right? So he's going to make something that he's not going to be able to move. It's true for the first second, he might be able to move it because the graph Sharei, but he's doing something to this paper, he won't be able to move the paper, right? Are you talking in the Welt to say that that's a bittul kli mechana? What is bittul kli mechana? Bittul kli mechana is taking this item and ruining its usage. One of the ruining of the usages is that you can't move it around. That's certainly a ruination of the item, right? Chazal didn't want it because Taka looks like boineh. Chazal didn't want it because you're being mevatel as oinig. He's losing his kalim, etc. But are you talking the actual words? Mevatel kli mechanai. You're being mevatel tissue mechanai by using the tissue. It's ludicrous. It's ludicrous. My leiv tells me, just a moment, my leiv tells me that this is why it was pashut by the Achronim, this Hagdara. I don't know if the time midikra, the buying of the sites would make any nafkamina over here. I'm sorry? Oh, very good. So you were Makavin. Is it by any chance that you are a ger chassid, perhaps? Right? By any chance? Rabbi Boki was Makavin to this Sfas Emes. Now you have to make a kiddush. Right? Now you have to make a kiddush. Okay? And Shabbos and Daf, and this is, don't think you're getting away with this, okay? Yeah, leftover Shabbos Daf Men Gimel, come to gain Rebbe, Sfas Emes, Ger Rebbe, Daf Men Gimel or Men Beis, okay? Akapanim, he says over there that again, the Isser, of course, is making muksa. This is making muksa. And the Sfas Emes says that let's say a person was miyachid lezeh. He talks about a cup that he was miyached for the purpose of catching oil. Listen closely, because it's different than sort of what we said yesterday. Yesterday we said that if you have something which is oymid lekach, the lashon in the Sfas Emes, like Rabbi Boki just said, is if you were miyached lezel. Let's say I have a cup, I was miyached it for that purpose. I know it's interesting, right? This is not a cup that when anyone looks at it, he sees, oh, that's an oil catcher. But I was miyached it to be an oil catcher, right? So Sfas Emes says that's vada not going to be bittul kli mechana. Sfas Emes doesn't bring a raya. Not bring a raya. The Sfas Emes doesn't need a raya. The Sfas Emes is a raya, but the Sfas Emes doesn't can raya. Why? Because again, it would be ludicrous. That's what the Sfas Emes is telling you. Sfas Emes is telling you that if you don't understand this, what do you mean? You can't move it now. Tachlis, you put the cup there, the oil falls in. You're not allowed to move this cup. So you're mechaber latit, you are so muksa. I know that. But the idea of this cup is to so muksa. That's what it's oimid for. It's oimid to not move. It's oimid to not move. Something that's oimid to not move, avada doesn't have that din of bittul kli mechanai. It doesn't look like, it's not what the reason Chazal asered not being mevatel a kli from its tashmish. One of the tashmishim is taka moving it around. Chazal asered that. Why they asered it is because this and that. But avada if the kli is oimid lekach, you aren't mevatel kli mechanai. It's a dar pashit. Maisa, without this, you get into a lot of problems in a lot of places that we find that certain kalim that when you use them become, But let's go slowly. It's just a dogma, lekach, right? You have the Chazal talk about a mustaki. We have to, again, a lot of the rayas, there's ways out of them, just the concept first. There's a mustaki. A mustaki is like a kli that is not a chashav a kli. Okay, the place can talk about like a tuna can and whatever, a disposable kli. But in those days, they had these like kalim which were patched together. And there's a whole shayla on Shabbos if you're allowed to break a kli b'chlal. Saisir there are Rishayim that hold you allowed to stand break a kli on Shabbos. There's no issue of saisir on a kli. It's only saisir on karka. But everyone agrees there are certain kalim that you're allowed to be saisir. Right? In other words, some Rishayim hold you're allowed to saisir a gansa kli. And some Rishayim hold that you're allowed to saisir not a gansa kli, but like a shvacha kli, non-chashav kli. Okay, it's a shem. We have to learn this. No. When I break a kli, for sure there are kalim you're allowed to break on Shabbos. The only question is which one. So why is that not mavatel kli mechanai? It doesn't look like seiser. Taking something and making that I can't move it, that looks like seiser. But being seiser doesn't look like seiser. It's just, could you even ask that question? Maybe, I don't know. Right, I'll ask you more. When you break it, it turns into muksa. That's what happens when you break kalim, right? When you break kalim, now they're muksa, they're unusable, right? It doesn't say anywhere that you have to break the chair in a way. There are Rishonim that hold you're allowed to break a kli on Shabbos. We are machmer on this shiloh. But the Kapanim, they're definitely Rishonim. The Goyim, the Aruch HaShulchan brings down, I think, Chamesh, Avis Oilam, they hold like this. Rashi even, they hold you're allowed to break a kli. When you break a kli, what happens when you break a kli? It turns into what? Parts of it turn into muksa. How are you allowed to break a kli on Shabbos? You're mevatel kli mechana. And it's a joke to say that. That's the biggest mevatel kli mechana in the world. They made it that there's not a kli anymore, right? So again, there are maybe other truths, and you could say this, but the simple is that that's nothing to do with mevatel kli mechana. Mevatel kli mechana is taking something and making it that you can't move it. That item, making that item that exists still, and making it that you can't move. That's what Chazal asked. Why they asked her this, that, says that, etc., right? So that doesn't start the kasha when you break a kli. When you break a kli, it's something else. That's something else. You took something that used to be a kli, you made it ice kli. That's not what Chazal were talking about. Chazal said, you have a kli, and you made it that you're memayit the shimush of that kli on Shabbos by not being able to move it, by not being able to use it, by not being whatever. Okay. As we go along, we'll prove it, but that's what I'm letting you feel my hergish. Yesterday you saw the chakiras and the nafkaminas and everything, and half the nafkaminas don't shtim in the paiskim. And this is the reason why, because his pashta says that's only all time of the krah. The ikr is, Chazal said, don't take an item and take away its ability to be moved around. That's the yisr. Now, okay, so if you have something which is oimid for that, so then what you can say? Chazal said, don't take this item and do with it what you're supposed to do with it. That's negative seichel. That's negative seichel. I'm sorry, what was the question? Sorry? Sorry? It's not just the Pnei Shiur, it's not like that. It's anybody who ever talked about this nafkamina is not like that. Okay, I'm saying, but in halacha, it's not going to shtim. Today we're going to go halacha. In halacha, it's going to shtim only if you go like this. Otherwise, you're going to get stuck in all types of. You see also from Rashi already. Rashi said, "Doing the malacha." Okay, maybe the malacha is seiser. I mean, that's what Rashi meant. But okay, let's see. Sorry. Taking a kli, locking it up, and throwing away the key. Interesting. Interesting. Interesting shot. Let me think about it. I might even get to it. Let's see. So let's go one by one. Klisha oimid lekach. Okay, the one we started talking about yesterday. So Shmini Shabbos, like I said, Chabez and Dalid, he brings down that if it's something is oimid to, we'll say it in my language, right? If something is oimid to be muksa, something's oimid to be muksa, there's no isser of making it become muksa. Something that's oimid to become muksa, there's no isser becoming muksa. His example over there is like a garbage bag. You have to remember, Shlomo Zalman had big problems with garbage bags, right? Because everything that went into a garbage bag in Shlomo Zalman's world was muksa, right? Plastic forks and spoons. He held all that stuff as muksa. So Shlomo Zalman had a big problem. How you allowed to throw anything into the garbage? Right now it's a new garbage. You're making it muksa. Now you're making it that you can't move around this garbage bag. A minute ago you were able to move around this garbage bag, and now you're not able to. Sorry? What? Sorry? No, not when it's in the garbage. Absolutely not. It might not reach your graf sharei. That's absolutely not true. That's not true. A person has a garbage. It'll go only halfway. It's not a graf sharei. If Shlomo Zalman doesn't hold, you can move it. Absolutely not. V'oid, it's still not going to be a graf sharei until a little bit of time, and we're going to see soon that a bittul l'shah is also going to be a problem. A bittul shah means that it's a bittul kli for a certain amount of time. That's also going to be a problem. We'll see 3 levels today, Mitzvah. But that's so Akapanim. Akapanim of Shlomo Zalman was very bothered. Why are you allowed to put things into a garbage bag? I'll give you something to think about, which Mitzvah I don't think we'll get to today. But let's say you have a plastic cup in a garbage bag, right? And there's a lot of real garbage in there, whatever. Diaper lock and whatever, okay? And you throw one plastic cup on top and somebody says, wait, you have no more plastic cups. You have no more plastic cups. So you just threw it in, okay? And let's say you hold the plastic cup's not garbage, right? Or a plastic bottle. You have a bottle you threw into the garbage and you realize you need the bottle now to fill up with water or whatever. So now you want to take it out. So what are you doing when you're taking it out? What just happened when you took it? Until now it's all muks in the garbage, right? And now you take out that plastic bottle. What happened when you take out that plastic bottle? You just vatal kli mechanai, right? When the plastic bottle was in, I was allowed to move around this garbage because it didn't become a buses. It's a buses for the davar aser, the davar mutter, and there are oifanim that I can move it around. Now I take out the plastic bottle. What did I do? I just made it that this garbage can't be moved. What? So it's a big shiloh. There's pashas. It's a big shiloh. Pashas, you can't do it. We'll have to see if there's a heter. The place can talk about a gram bittul kli mechanah. It's called a gram bittul kli mechanah. But they say it's mutter gram on Erev Shabbos. This is on Shabbos. What? The case of Shulchan Aruch, because he's taking away the table lepers, right? Which case? The table, no? And I'm going to talk about it. I just wanted you to think about it. But anyways, we'll talk about it more in Masada. But Tachas Shlomo Zalman had a very big problem because in the world of Shlomo Zalman, everything was muksa. I gave the example yesterday of an eggshell. In the world of Shlomo Zalman, everything, the cups, the plates, the forks, the spoons, the diaper lock, the bones, everybody's muksa. Hakol muksa. So besides Shlomo Zalman, how you let her throw out garbage on Shabbos? Hooray, you're taking the bag and making it immobile. So Shlomo Zalman said, this is ridiculous. Das is ridiculous. Das is oimid lekach. That's what it is. That's what it is. The Isser is not to Xeris Akosiv, don't make something unmovable on Shabbos, right? The answer is that if being Mavatal the Kli from its ability to move around is in a situation where you made it Shimush of moving, Shimush of its usage, etc. If you did such a thing to the Kli, that's Mavatal Kli Mechana. But if you take something and use it what it's supposed to be used for, that's not Mavatal Kli Mechana. That's what Shlomo Zalman says. The Maisa, okay. Now, how far do we take this? That's l'chayr. Stama will be Seimech on this. Let's see. I mean, we'll prove it a little bit more. But how far do we take this? Rabbi said, every so I saw it in Orach Shabbos. So he says, look, Lefi that svar, any shopping bag. So you take a diaper and you put a diaper in a shopping bag because you don't want it to smell, right? So you tie up the shopping bag. So he says, look, Lefi this svar, it's very good, right? It's oimid lekach. It's not oimid just lekach. So I mean, what's a plastic bag? Did you get one of those like shopping bags, right? What's it oimid for? So I mean for everything. So he says, okay, it's also oimid for this. So oimid for this. You have a diaper. It's also, you have a bag. It's also oimid to hold the diapers. So then I beside, he said that's not a bittul kli mecha. That's not a bittul kli mecha. What? Yeah, why is it different than a regular cup? Rabbi Freudiger says every cup is oimid for a regular cup in time of the Gemara. Why is a regular cup? It's oimid for this and that. I'll prove it to you. He did it, right? He did it.
But it wasn't oimid for that.
Sure, it was. It was oimid for both. What? Okay, but you see, he did it, right? So he's saying, no, it's a little worse because a plastic bag is oimid for whatever will be like, it's like breira, whatever will be the thing that you used it for, that's what it's going to be oimid for. That's what he says. The problem is like this. First of all, the Ger Rebbe, not Rabbi Buki, the Sasemis, the Ger Rebbe, his lashon is, when he says this, he says, if the item is miyuchad lezeh, lashon of the Sasemis, if you miyuchad lezeh, it's meduyik a little bit in the Sasemis, assuming that you don't hold that the Sasemis wrote extra drops of ink, right? But if it was, he does, why does it have to be miyuchad? Oh, no, sorry, let me rephrase. No, it's Mefersh, sorry. He says miyuchad rak lezeh. I'm sorry, it's Mefersh. He says miyuchad rak lezeh. It's not a diak in the Sasemis. He says miyuchad rak lezeh. Why does he have to say that the cup is miyuchad rak lezeh? Why does he not say miyuchad gam lezeh? Why not? Okay. So it is a little bit mashma that a shopping bag would pose a problem. One moment. What? Okay, I can hear, but you can understand that, it's not rak, but you understand that is what it's certainly oimid for. Here, you could say it's different. It's not oimid for anything. It's oimid for the potential of everything. There, it's be'etzim oimid for garbage. It's called the garbage bag. And then you happen to use it for other things, right? Okay, slow. Let's go slow. Everybody say, slowly. 1 minute. I know all the problems. I'm going to try and help. That's all I'm trying to do. But let's go slow. If they have these things. It's one of the most, it's probably the of all the English inventions, like, this is up there. I mean, my wife, this, right? It's up there, right? They have these things called nappy sacks, right? These things are great. Now you have to know what a nappy is in order to understand. But it's like a diaper. It's like a little diaper bag, and you put it in, and it has all types of cologne and the perfume and everything on it. And you put in the diaper, you can't know the kid did it. And sometimes the kid's a miyuchad, a kid, you have to use two of them. But it's, one bag and boom, fagnish, they don't know anything, right? So what is that? That, I think you understand. That's mamish, a gewaldig example, miyuchad lekach, it's oimid lekach, right? And then in such a case, he's certainly not going to say on that, mevatel kli mechana, right? Even though now, once it's in there, usually a lot of times it's not a graf shel rei anymore. Let's say go with the hagdara of graf shel rei of moyes or whatever. Once it's in there, so then it doesn't smell, it doesn't bother anyone. It's on the side, you're not going to be able to move it. You put it on the side, you won't be able to move it. You made that bag, just a moment. You made that bag that you're not able to move the bag. You made that bag, you're not able to move it. But the feed this hagdara of the Sfat Savitz, it's miyuchad, rak lezeh. So far, so good. What? Yeah, you can do one advice to always have miyuchad child, Rabbi Lieberman. And we're very proud of that. But okay. I'm just saying it's not always going to be a graf shel rei. It's not always going to be a graf shel rei. Now, but again, what's going to be with the plastic bags? It's very negeya. It's not negeya. A lot of times you clean up after, a meal and just, you have a plastic bag. You want to just take it and throw it in the garbage. So you put it all together in a plastic bag or something like that. So what's halacha? What's halacha? Mamish negeya, right? Just one moment. let's see. So is the Orach Shabbos right? What do you think? I mean, Sasemis doesn't sound like it really so much, right? What does Mishnah Berurah say? Let's see if Mishnah Berurah can help us. So I found the Mishnah Berurah in a different simon over there. I mentioned this Mishnah Berurah the other day, I think. Mishnah Berurah in Simon Shin Hey, Siv Samach Tes. He's talking about that case. We have to talk about this, that, he has the animal and the animal has the kalim on it and you don't want the kalim to smash. So you're putting a pillow underneath, all kinds of mice over here, right? So he says like this. He says, it's a little complicated. He's getting involved in sometimes Sar Bali Chayim can be doicha the isser of bittul kli mechanai. So the animal's suffering. So the mela, I'm going to be allowed to put a pillow underneath. It gets complicated. So why don't you just let the item smash? You have to let my item smash. Okay, we have to talk about this. But anyways, that's what it says here. The Sar Bali Chayim can be doicha bittul kli mechanai. So I'm going to be allowed to save this animal's life, to put maybe a pillow there, then I'll loosen the muksa will fall onto the pillow and shalom al on the hippopotamus over here. So listen what he says. He says, V'dachi the isser bittul kli mechanai, because Sar Bali Chayim is deraisa, okay? The bittul kli mechanai is right d'rabbanan. Look at the actual case, we'll come back to it. But look at the next words. He says, Mishnah Berurah is like kilu. I suppose in Shin Hey, you forgot what bittul kli mechanai is. You haven't learned it in 50 simanim, right? You haven't learned it in 40 simanim since Reish Samachay. So here he says, what's that? What is it? Shegazru shaloi levatul b'Shabbos. Listen to the Mishnah Berurah telling you what you want to know what to tell your wife. She says, what is this thing? This bittul kli mechanai thing? What is it? Chazal were geyser shaloi levatul b'Shabbos kli mima shehi muchenes. So first of all, this Mishnah Berurah is very, very, very telltale Mishnah Berurah. You're not allowed to be mevatel a kli from what it is muchan. Okay, so what did Mishnah Berurah first of all just say? He just said like this Vasadis. First of all, Mishnah Berurah just said you're not allowed on Shah. He also knows about Bainin, he knows about this. If you're taking away from what it's muchan, what it's ointment for, that's a problem. If not a problem. Okay, so now let's see. A garbage bag. Is anybody in his right mind going to say a regular garbage bag? Are you being mevatel it for what it's muchenes? It's a shtus. Even if you use garbage bags, but nobody in the world is going to look at this and say it's doimel malacha. It's this that. It's a shtus. It's no shaila. You are not mevatel it mimashehi muchenes. Okay, let's go right there. Nappy sack also. Okay, a plastic bag. I was thinking like this. I don't know if this is like the Orach Shabbos, but I think it might be mutter anyways. Right? Again, what's the lamdis of this bittul kli mechanai? I can't be mevatel it for what it's muchenes. Now, I'll start a different shaila, which is very related, right? Let's say I have something which is not a kli. Okay? Listen closely. I'm going to come back. I know we're in the middle, but watch. If I have something that's not a kli, so maybe the only time mevatel kli mechanai is when I'm mevatel a kli mechanai. If I take a kli and let's say something's not a kli. So that we saw yesterday, not like that. In Shar Tziyah, in Shin Yud Gimel, in Sivkat and Lamed Zayin. Again, what the Sugi is talking about was that whole stick and holding up the roof shouldn't cave in. But the Mishnah Berurah says mefurish. He says, Kevan shegazru iser loy levatel kli. They made a like plug. The asru lost it. The asru kol davar sheyah mitchila mutal letaltel v'hu goyrim that you can't be metaltel. They geyser on anything that you couldn't be metaltel, that you used to be able to be metaltel, and now you can't be metaltel. Okay, that's not a steer to what we said, right? If it's an item that's what it's oimid to not be metaltel, that won't be a steer. But he says, I don't need a kli. He writes, who cares? Ain't shayach bittul kli kol she'ain shem kli? Lanias taiti, that's a davar chodesh. Laniira, it's not mistaber. He doesn't like this. Okay, so let's say you want to come along and say a plastic garbage bag is not a kli. That won't help. That won't help, right? But let's have another thought, right? Maybe something that's disposable, like that type of svara that we said yesterday, something that's disposable gets used up. Like we started saying, am I allowed to take a kli and break it on Shabbos? There certainly are Rishayim that allow it, and there certainly are types of kalim that we're allowed to break. And no one ever said that's bittul kli mechanai. So how does that work? I'm not allowed to take a kli and mimayit its tashmish on Shabbos. I could have used it, I could have been moving it around, and now I can't be moving it around. That's a bittul of a kli bimashihi muchenes. But let's say I take a kli and I use it up. Let's say I take a kli and I use it up. So then again, in the same logic, because I don't have a problem with that. You're doing something which you're supposed to be doing. You're not being, it's a one-time usage on this guy. Chazal had a problem when you're taking something which is a 10-time usage and making it, and now you won't be able to use it for the rest of Shabbos. You're being lemait, your usages, it's bain, it's seiser, it's ma'achad, all these things, right? Let's say I have something, that's what you do. You have to use it up. So what's the difference if I use it? Why should I use it up dafka on weekday and not on Shabbos? It's like again, it's the same neged seichel. It's the same neged seichel. So let's go weiter. A plastic bag, again, is anyone going to say, Chazal said you can't be mevatel kli mimasha hi muchenes. Am I being a mevatel the kli mimasha hi muchenes? Not the Sfas Emes. I'm not saying now the Sfas Emes. Am I being mevatel it mimasha hi muchenes? Right? This thing is only going to have one life, right? Nobody reuses a plastic bag. So that's the question I'm not sure about. That's the question. What do you think about that? A plastic bag, technically, many people do reuse plastic bags, right? Right? But then we get into, so maybe that's far we have to add something to it. It's true. But, taking a kli and smashing it, again, it's not mevatel kli mechaneh. Taking a chair and breaking it, there's no question, it's not mevatel kli mechaneh. Doesn't say anywhere. There are many Rishonim that you're allowed to smash a chair. No one says, they're wrong because it's mevatel kli mechaneh, right? So Elamai, what do you see? You see, the Chazal came along and said, accommodate you have a kli and it could be used again. Then there's a problem if you're being mevatel kli mechaneh. For example, to take this plastic bag and put inside of it muksa, that would be a problem if it's something that the way it's being used is going to be reused. A very ironic thing, right? Let's say I take a plastic bag and I put it in a way where it helped me find the case because then I'll reuse it. Whatever. I don't know how you find the case, but here, I'm holding muksa. I realize I'm holding muksa. I'm holding muksa. So I just want to quickly put it down. So I go and put it in a plastic bag. That's a good example, right? I'm holding a $100 bill. I realize, oh my goodness, I have a $100 bill. Then I see a bag right there. So I just take it. It's hanging on the wall. There's nothing in it. I just take the $100 bill and put it in. That you can't do. Why? Because then clearly you'll use the bag again. So what did you do? You're mevatel the kli, mimashi muchenes, that it should be able to be used and to be moved around, etc. But if I take a kli and use it up, no one has a problem with you when you used up a bag. That's a normal thing to do with a bag. So maybe that's not mevatel kli mechaneh. These are the basic svaras in the sugya. Who says that last one? I'm sorry? If lefi that, let's say let's say you're a kike. No, it's not. So you have that plastic bag, the little nappy sack. You say, what a chaval. It didn't get on the side of the bag, right? Didn't get on the side of the bag. So you take it and you pour it into, what are you laughing, right? It's interesting. Some people not laughing right now. But anyways, you take it, you pour it into the garbage, and then you reuse it. So he says, so besides then that could have been a problem about the kli mechaneh because for that amount of time, so like a tissue, right? No one's going to say, now you understand, it could be this is the oimik from Nissen, right? But if you ask somebody, is there a mevatel kli mechaneh from using a tissue? It's a shtus. That's the mahalach we're saying today. If you say, is there a mevatel kli mechaneh from using a tissue? It's a shtus. I'm using a tissue. That's what I'm supposed to be doing with the tissue, right? It's going to get used to the extent that you're not going to be able to use it anymore and whatever. And you're not going to be able to move it around and whatever, right? Okay. That doesn't matter. That's in shivish of the kli. Rosh Hashanah, just give me one moment. Rosh Hashanah, and also over there in Chav Beis Nidal is a very nice hour over there, right? He says that idea. He says once you use it, anything that you use once and you throw it out, he says it's it's not oyimid for any other usage. That's the same one in Chav Beis Nidal. He has a nice hour over there. It's very good to see over there. That's a general idea. Basically, this using up idea, the same idea. There's no mevatel kli anachanai on something that gets used up. Right? And it's a bar, the Gemara talks in Mishnah and Shabbos. The Mishnah and Shabbos, I don't know how you can get out of this. The Mishnah and Shabbos and Daf Kuf Mem Vav talks about breaking a barrel. And the Mishnah says you're allowed to break a barrel. It's the Persian Mishnah. You can break a barrel. Either that barrel they learn is a kli and you're allowed to break a kli, or like I said before, it's a shvacha kli or something. But you're allowed to break a barrel in Shabbos. How are you allowed to break the barrel? Now you can't use the barrel anymore. It's game over. Once you break the barrel, you can't use the barrel anymore. So what happened to Bitul Kli Mechaneh? You made it that you can't move around the kli. You can't use it anymore. You can't move it anymore. You can't use it anymore. So again, it's borrowed that this does not go into Bitul Kli Mechaneh because that's what it's. You're allowed to use up an item. Chazal didn't have a problem if you used up an item. They didn't say dafka wait to use up item for carrot. They didn't say wait to use up the item on a Sunday for carrot. They said that we don't want you to for carrot hold off on using items on Shabbos. So if you have an item like a bag that you could reuse, and you're going to reuse, like my example of the $100 bill in a plastic bag, and you're going to reuse that bag. So now you did an avla. You made it that on Shabbos you can't use that item anymore. Okay, that's an avla. But if you have a diaper and you put it into a plastic bag, that would be mutter. What do I want to ask? I stopped a lot of questions. What? So it's not muksiyah. At that point, it's not muksiyah. No, it's not muksiyah. If a kami can still use the tissue, it's not muksiyah, right? Yeah, it's still, Sorry? Could be. Whatever. Or could be it's bottle. I don't know. Could be it's nochshivas. Could be like that svar of the Ksaita Shulchan once that we said. It's something that has no chivs. You wouldn't take a whole bag of the stuff and sell it, no? Okay. Now, I must tell you, Rabbi Isai, there's a lot now. Now that you have this akdama, does everybody agree with me? I mean, it's a little bit of a dictatorship, that's the truth. But does everybody just agree? There was a vote in like Korea or one of these places, right? And the person who ran for the president, he got mamish, there's a Peltic Maisa, he got 100%, everybody voted for him. A few people were found dead the next day, but it's a Peltic thing, so it's like sort of like that. I don't see any other way over here, that you have to not be as aggressive in the time made to crow over here when you're learning the sugya, or you're going to get stuck. But you have to remember a few things now, like, for example, there are ways out of always remembering Bittul Kli Mechana, ways out of always just, never having to worry about Bittul Kli Mechana. Let's say, we don't know yet the end of the sugya. It doesn't look like it's happening today, but this Shabbos, you're going to be eating, and you have a plate, and you start taking the shells of a pistachio, and you're putting it on the plate. Okay, everybody say those things are muksa. Pistachio shells are muksa. What are you doing? You just learned the sugya Bittul Kli Mechana. You're taking the stuff, you're putting it on a plate. It's a problem, right? It's a problem. It's Bittul Kli Mechana. You're making this plate unmovable. So what are you going to tell me? You can tell me Graf Sharei. So I keep on telling you, it's not yet a Graf Sharei. So then, sorry? The plate is not oymid for that? No, absolutely not. What? Plate, rak lezeh, the Lashon of Sfas Emes, it's not oymid rak lezeh. The Sfas Emes said oymid rak lezeh. The Sfas Emes says rak lezeh and nothing else. It's clear, not like that. You were eating a few minutes ago and the chicken on it, right? So it's not. What? Come again? Again, this goes into the explanation we just said. Since now I can't move the plate, that's what Chazal don't want. Chazal don't have a problem if you're using up the plate. L'mashal, if it would be disposable plate, I might not be as aggressive. Because somebody can come along and say a disposable plate is only meant for anything, and it's going to be used up and it's going to be thrown out. So you're not mimayit your items on Shabbos. I could hear such a svara, like I said yesterday about a plastic cup, but a regular plate. So in the matzav achshavi, the matzav what you did right now is you made it that right now I can't. Avada, it's a wonderful thing. So is a cup by oil. It's the exact same thing. So taking a cup and catching the oil is the exact same thing. It's a wonderful thing to do. So what did you do? You made it now that at least until it becomes a graf sharei, you can't move it. And who says it's going to become a graf sharei? So you certainly did a bit of kli the shah. Now, before even thinking, again, between now and Sunday, we're going to have a lot more to say. But just before even thinking, now for the rest of your life, if you take a fork and put it on the plate, that's it. I don't have the, we spoke always about putting a fork on the plate for other reasons, right? If you have a fork on the plate while you're doing this, you don't even have to think about Bittul Kli Mechana, because I'm putting this on. Now, if you take off the fork, you might have that issue, right? We spoke about before. We'll talk about that. But anyways, when I'm putting this bone, I'm putting this shell or whatever on the plate. So right now, I can't move it. Yes, I could, because it's not a bus, it's just for that. It's holding gam the davar mutter, gam the davar aser, and I'll be allowed to move it when I'll need the makim. So therefore, come again? You have to make sure that what? Is that interesting? Okay, yeah. Might get involved in as far as a pruta and things like that. Okay, maybe. Okay, but talk upon him. Sorry. Yes, how you allowed to eat that? That was what you asked yesterday. Rebecca asked that question yesterday, right? How you allowed to eat the egg? You're left with, you made something muksa, right? Yeah. Okay, but the feed is it's obviously not a kasha. Because you're allowed to eat, right? Chazal didn't answer you from doing what's the normal shemesh. Just give me one moment. No. The pistachio, you're taking a shell and putting it on a plate. No, again, Beseda, and your cup is also meant to hold oil. The Mishnah says you can't, right? Obviously, it means that if you have a cup and you're going to catch the oil with the cup, so now you can't do other things with it. Right now, the Chazal don't want that even for a minute. Chazal don't want even for a minute. That was the gather of Chazal. They don't want even for a minute that you have an item that you're not going to be allowed to move around when it has a shimush achayzer. Any item that has an ability to be used nachamol, and you are making it now that you can't use it for the time being, afterward, whatever. So that's what Chazal asked. That's what Chazal asked. Now, let's see. All right, there's so much. I don't even know what to know. No, the mashal. I'll just give you an example, right? Why? We're going to learn next week about when a person is stuck in the toilet, the whole sugi of kavod abrius, mitzvah and shinyud base. And we're going to talk about, let's say he's stuck and he has only toilet paper and it's muksa. Is he allowed to rip it with the shinoi and this and that and whatever, all types of shots, right? It's a very simple eitzah. What's the eitzah? You say it. No? Say it? What? Oh, I sink. There's no sink in there. Next. No? Thank you. I know my creatures. Come on. I know my characters. Should I say who it is, or do you don't want people to know who it is? I won't say your name. Toby's brother, right? So his brother says, why can't I just, why are we getting all types of coolers, like ripping toilet paper with our mouth and taking toilet paper and flushing the toilet while it's attached and all types of things? Who gives you right to go and do things like that and ripping? And this, I have a very simple thing. Why can't you just take off the undershirt, right? Okay, you already took the tzitzis off before you came inside, right? So the tzitzis are outside. So there, you just take off the shirt. You don't want to use your shirt. That's not cool, right? But you can take the undershirt. You take the undershirt, right? And then what? Okay, right? This also might be covered up Prius, okay? But why can't you just use the undershirt? Why can't you use the undershirt? So if the sugi you're learning now, it's very good. It's very good. What do you mean? That's also nisser. That's also nisser. You took an undershirt. The undershirt's not usable now, right? And you made it now. Now it's bittul kli mechalei. What are you going to say now, Levi? There's a little bit left over. What? His stomach not going to use it again. What? Oh, the only thing is that once one would use that, right? I don't know. Would he wash it? All right, let's have a vote. Let's go. Right. Wait, no, but it has to be like a silent vote because everyone's going to be embarrassed. Some of the guys won't be embarrassed, right? But
maybe sleep all the time. You don't throw it out.
Thank you. What? Sometimes, not always. Sometimes. Okay, Rabbi said by a show of hands, who throws out every time the baby leaks? Right? Who throws out the outfit every time the baby leaks? No, I don't think so. Right? I don't think so. There's a ganze sugi of maris and v'chule, right? I don't think everybody throws things out anytime that there's a stain. I don't think people throw things out anytime there's a stain. I mean, I have more underwear in my house than who knows what, right? Because I guess they don't care so much, right? But vice versa, people don't always. I don't understand it, but people vice versa is nishtazeh. People do clean it, right? People do clean these things, right? No, what? Wait, slow. My brain can't handle fast emerson. Did that slowly. 1 second. We're dealing with a very serious Shiur. One second. Tachlis. I'm not convinced that you would throw it out. I think most people would probably wash it, or it could be they'd be embarrassed and that's why they wouldn't wash it. It could be they're embarrassed that it happened and therefore they wouldn't wash it. But if you were in charge of the washing, right, and whatever. So anyways, you get my point. But more so, I don't know, another thing, I don't know. Let's say you have something that you could theoretically wash. You just might not wash, That's also, I don't know if that's what we're talking about here, where you're using an item up. Ishlood and all this, I don't know. But anyways, Tachlis Garet, you have a new problem. Mitzvah Shem, when we learn Shiur base, we have to see this Mevatel Kli Mechanoi, Bida Kavod Abrius. But you didn't gain like not doing an Isser at all. That's my point. You didn't gain not doing an Isser. The truth is, there's another Isser I mentioned once in Shiur base. Who remembers? I once mentioned that there's an Isser of taking a shirt and wiping up mud. Not tzaveh, because it's a kilkel. But I mentioned that there's a Shulchan Aruch in Siman Shin Beis, I think it was in Sifyud Aleph, that if you have a shirt and it's clear, it's something which is usable, and you clean mud with it, chazal would geyser that you might come to wash it out. If it's something not normal, if it's a rag and it's oymed l'kach, it's a chmeila. So I'm just saying, you have to know when you're in the toilet and you're having this shiloh, right? You have to know that it's probably kedai to buy Shabbos toilet paper, but you also have to know that you're not always necessarily getting out of this Isser. Now you have to don, but that didn't necessarily help. No, we have to. There's a lot here. We have to talk about. Sometimes a person he has a spill on the floor, right? And he's right near like a laundry hamper or something, right? Got to happen to me. There was when it was the rain, when it was the snow, right? So it's on Shabbos, it was melting, right? So there was like in everybody's house the leaks, right? So it's right there. There was a massive leak coming through like a window area, right? So it was right there on the floor. It was a shirt. Right there was a shirt that was in the laundry. It wasn't the shirt that was unwearable. You could wear the shirt. You could wear it even if it's dirty. You could wear it. You could wear it when you're doing sponge. I don't know what. You could wear it, right? So now I wanted to just, it was right there, and it was the middle of the night. I wanted to just take the shirt and put it right there to chop the water. Right? The water was coming down. I just wanted to chop the water over there and let it sit there and get soaked in the water. Then I realized, you can't do that, right? Why can't you do that? Let's see. What? You're making not melabin. Because the water's dirty, so I don't think that'd be melabin. But l'chayra, what you're doing is you're making it that this shirt is now going to be soaking wet. That's the case of Yer and Shulchan Aruch and Shinhei. And then what's going to happen? You won't be able to move it. Okay, maybe with two people, this and that, and this and that. But that's only if you need it. I don't need the shirt, etc. So now you're going to make this shirt that it's going to become sachet with water, all soaking wet, and you won't be able to move it around because they made a gzeira that you're going to come to wring it out, etc. Just a moment. They made a gzeira on this shirt. So once they made a gzeira, the island might have terutzim, but this case I just said is a Gemara. The Gemara says about taking pillows and putting it in the water. So whatever kasha you can have a kasha on a Gemara. So that's why I'm not going to go into it right now. It's a concept I'm trying to bring out. That it says in the Gemara that you can't take a pillow and put it in the water. And the way that the Rishonim learn, some of them at least, is that because now you made it that this item can't be in the taltal. Because I think actually it's right here in Shinhei. So that's mamish. Why? Because bittul kli mechanai. Where was it? Shulchan Aruch Shinhei. Here, behema shenaflu amas hamayim, the poor farm animal, he fell into the water. Imamayim mukim, and he can't. Maybe karmic susis, and you put him in there. B'nei tzar b'lichayim. Afal pi shemavatul kli mechanai. That's what it says. It says first that you put in this thing. Even though now some learn that the case over here is that now the animal's going to go on it and he's going to stay there, and therefore it's bitul kli mechanai. Others learned that no, it's not. It's bitul kli mechanai because now the thing is waterlogged, and once it's waterlogged, you're not allowed to move it. I think Mr. Brewer actually says that side. 1 second. Here, after lo yaruin l'shtamish b'mayidei b'oid shalem lachas hamayim. Because he says when the water's on it, you're not going to be able to use it. Okay, it could be balbatish, you can't use it because you can't wear a soaking wet shirt. But because you get my point, right? Okay. But now you have to know, maybe this is worse. This is better because over here the water's coming, it hasn't yet come. It's gonna come, you're being mevatel, but you see in the sugi already that doesn't help. So a shmata might mitzad bittul kli mechanai, so that we spoke about that it's called oimid lekach. And v'bald it's oimid lekach, that's what it's oimid, to be waterlogged, and even though it might, second of all, it could be you're not mechuyev, you're not usher to move it, because since it's a shmata, they didn't make a gzeira shema yischait. Like we spoke out once, because since it's takashmata, the only reason why a person wants to take out the water is his shirt's going to get ruined and whatever, so he wants to take out the water. Mashiach get a shmata, which is oimid always to have water, we're not even afraid he's going to be soichet. But again, my point is you always have to be thinking bittul kli mechana dekesvaris. Yeah? Sorry? Mm-hmm. So I'm not sure. It gets into the shaila, is the bath towel oimid to be soaking wet? Not sure. Not sure. All right, let me think. What about the air conditioning drip? So let's see, the air conditioning is dripping. What? So we got a big problem here. Rabbi Cooper just went right to the point over here. Right to the point. What, was it a girl? Is it a girl? So Kiddush is Shabbos? So, okay, so you're holding by Kiddush. So he went right to the point of. He went right to the point. Rabbi's like, in the Sefer Orchos Shabbos, I was not going to go into this now, but you're causing trouble. Okay, in the Sefer Orchos Shabbos, he brings down that what do you do if you have this air conditioning and it's dripping? The air conditioning we're assuming is a noilid water, it's muksa gomer, okay? You have the water coming down and it's going and it's gonna go in a few cases. Let's go to the case right now. It's just making a mess on the floor and you don't want it there. It's horrible, whatever. Right? And there it is. It's dripping down and then people could slip and whatever, all types of things. Okay. So now what do you want to do? So he says, bring a bucket. He said, bring a bucket. Okay. He says, look, you bring a bucket, you have a problem. You have a problem because now you're not going to be able to move the bucket. Okay. And even if afterwards you'll be able to move the bucket, something like that, but still it's l'shah for sure is the problem, right? Let's say it'll spill over, but for sure l'shah it's a problem. So he says, bring the bucket. And then he writes that after you bring the bucket, you got to put something in the bucket because otherwise it's bitul kli mechanai. It's bitul kli mechanai. It's not, okay. It's not miyuchid. A bucket is not miyuchid to be holding the water from the air conditioning, right? So he says, how are you going to get it that you'll be able to move it? So he says, you take it, put it inside a fork. Take a fork, put it inside there. Now the bucket is holding the fork, it's holding the water. So now it's tiltum min hatzad, it's tzarech the makom, you'll be able to move it. That's what he says. What? So it's not miyuchid for muksa. A cup is miyuchid for liquid, but it's not miyuchid for a muksa liquid, right? That was the whole case of the Gemara. Akapanim, I have a problem with this. What's the problem? What's the problem? Big problem. No problem? Oh. I was like, the sugya that we learned of, let's say, kina shel tarnagolim, and we learned that you can have something which is miyuchad. We spoke about a leichter tray and whatever. We spoke, you have something which is miyuchad to be holding this, a leichter. That was our classic example. If you take a leichter, you would put a diamond ring on the leichter and say, oh, the leichter is holding up the ring and it's holding up the cup. You're weird, right? That's a weird thing to say. It's a buses for the thing that's normal for it. What's normal for leichters to hold? Diamond rings? No. It's normal to hold the fire. It's normal to hold the cup. So therefore we say you become a buses to what? To the cup, not to the diamond ring. We had Ad Kedei Kach, a leichter tray that those wanted to be machmer. We said, okay, but our leichter trays are oimid, not just for leichters, they're also oimid for the bench, but the concept exists. You can't go and say a guitar case, right? You're going to go and take a guitar case and you put inside, there's a guitar. You're also going to put inside there like a chumash, right? It's a little bit weird, right? No, that's normal, you say. Right? It's normal. Okay, but you get my point. Okay. So I here is right? What are you going to do? You take a bucket, you're going to put in there water. Is it normal to have tuna cans in buckets? It's not normal. So when we see this bucket, you're going to say it's a basis l'davar aser, v'davar mutter, and the davar mutter is more chashiv. Very nice. The davar mutter is more chashiv, but it doesn't belong. So for shteitzach that bleibt the basis l'davar aser. Davar bar kashemish v'sayim. No, let me explain. Let me explain to you, sir. Wait, no, I see from faces over here. This is bar kashemish v'sayim. It's so borrowed that I asked this question to Rav Gelber. I asked this question years ago. I asked this question to Gelber. I told him, at one point I had the sefer before they put it out. I said, before I didn't ask this question, I said, if a person would have something which is only for this and for this, so then we would say it's a basis l'davar ha-aser, if the davar aser is normal, right? So he said, right. I said, so like a bucket with like a tuna can and water, would anybody be able to say that's a basis for the water and the tuna can? Or we would obviously say it's a basis for the water. I said, no, of course it's a basis for the water. I said, okay. Tzarchin. Bar, he agrees that this is a problem. The book didn't change. I don't know the answer to that. Bar. What? When did I say not like this? No, the candlestick tray is not like this. We were miyached the candlesticks tray for chumash also. No. What? Wait, slow. Wait, slow. Maybe I'm doing tshuva. I said what? Let's see. Maybe I said not like this. It could be I did tshuva. Let's hear. Yeah. No, so let me explain because I want to explain. Let me explain. If you have a bucket and you put anything in a bucket, I don't have a problem with that. When you have water in a bucket and you have a fork in a bucket, then the bucket is only for the water. That's borrowed. You want to know what if Taka, a guy has no breira and he has a bucket and he needs to carry up the stairs his let's say he's going to the mikveh to toifel the kalim or something like that. Not going to the mikveh, his soap and his towel and all these interesting guys with all those things they have in the van. It's only guys in the mikveh that have these things, but Al Kapanim. So let's say he needs to go to the mikveh and he's carrying all his forks and his knives and his spoons and things and his gun and whatever. So I don't have a problem that he's going to use the bucket because it has a handle and it's a pay, you can, like a shovel. I don't have a problem with that. But one thing is bar. That when you have something which is be'emes oimid in the bucket and you have a fork in there's no shayla in the world that you're not going to say it's a basis for the davar mutter, the davar asr. I'm not so convinced about what you're saying. I said then, meaning it could be I'm saying I'm not so convinced that that's even true. About if you have a tuna can in the water, I don't know. If I said not like this, then I'm being chayzer. But so it's not the worst thing. It's got to, first of all, it's nishnaguna. I don't care if there wouldn't be anything to do, right? But it's not the worst thing. It's not the worst thing. I would just say like this. Derech Agav, Rav Scheinberg Zechron Levracha once told me, you have a steer in Mishnah Berurah. You have a Mishnah Berurah in one place saying like this, and another place saying this. So Rav Scheinberg told me, the psak is like the Mishnah Berurah b'mkoimai. Let's say you have a Mishnah Berurah in Hilchos Bishul, and he's talking about something about muksa. He says some chiddush in muksa that in Hilchos muksa he didn't say. So Scheinberg told me the psak is like the Mishnah Berurah in muksa. Okay, it could be you have to answer the steer, right? But if you can't answer the steer, the psak is like the Mishnah Berurah in Hilchos muksa. So it could be if I said something about bittul kli mechanai, the psak is like when you're learning bittul kli. No, but now we're dealing with bittul kli mechanai. No. But now I'm saying as far as bittul kli mechanai. I think I'm gonna need another coffee. I tell you guys my rib is hurting. You guys aren't giving me any rachmanis. But all right, I'll take it out for you on Chumash. What? Wait, moment. So of course it's a svara. It's a svara in a yachas. It's a svara in a yachas. No, it's a svara in a yachas. Akapanim tachlis gerah. If you have a bucket that has mucks of water in it, all right, I'm going to cause trouble now because you guys, you bothered me now. Now I'm going to cause you a lot of trouble right now. You're going to see. You're all going to be sorry in a minute. But if you have a water in a bucket, the zichar misyacha is more to the water. I think anybody that sees this looks at this and says, "Huh?" Right? You can't just have something to matter something up. Like you can't just have something to matter up. Stop. So then what would you do? The only thing you could do is like Rabbi Cooper said. Rabbi Cooper said you have to be miyached the bucket before Shabbos for the water. If you miyached it, that's a sasemis. Just a moment. If you miyached it before Shabbos for actually holding the muksa, that's the sasemis mamish. That's a sasemis mamish. That's a good eitzah. It's only not going to be an eitzah if this happens on Shabbos, right? Meaning if you didn't know about this before Shabbos, maybe you can take a chad pami. Right? You can take a disposable kli. That's also an eitzah. Right? What was the case? I'm going to come back to a dustpan because it could be very related here, but what are you asking? No, because the plastic fork is something that also gets swept up. I don't know if that so bothers me. Anything that's junk has no yachas. Like by boirer we find, when you're being mevarer, the psoilus, from the psoilus, it's all junk. We don't look at it as good, bad. It's all junk. I'm not sure if that would bother me. Sorry? I hear you asking a little bit. You're saying it's a dustpan. Maybe it's milcha just for them, but I'm not sure. Shall I cause one more problem? You're talking about an AC drip, right? Who knows where most of the people put their AC drips? It's unrelated, but you guys bothered me, so. But no, I'm saying when some people have it in the house and they have this massive, so where do they put it? In the toilet tank, right? In the toilet tank. They'll have like, if you ever noticed in a lot of the yeshivas, it's for sure like this, right? In the shuls, all the shuls, it's like this. They have like this pipe. You don't know what's going on over there, right? And I think the Israelis, in all the Svarim, they call it the Niagara. I remember the first time I saw this, I don't know, it was some barrel going over to Toronto. But it's called, the toilet tank is called the Niagara in these books. So you have, I'm sure over here you have, this thing over here, which is attached to the wall, right? You're allowed to pick it up and down on Shabbos. You're allowed to pick it up. It's like some type of a wire. It's probably electric, right? Well, so Shaila is that you get involved in that Shaila, that it goes right back to its place. It's mechuber l'karka, it goes right back to its place. So pashtus, it would be a makam to be makel. It's pashtus to be makam to be makel, goes right back to its place. Well, I think it's not so pashut because maybe it was only something you saw by Mishnah Berurah, by grass. Maybe that was only by something that grew like that, yesh ladin. But anyways, what is this at worst? It's a kli shemachal yeser. Right? What is this? It's a kli shemachal yeser. So tzarich mekoymai, right? The only thing is, I was thinking, I went through it today. I was thinking, what's tzarich mekoymai? No one's that tall anyways, right? So what are you gaining by going like this? It's just like a reaction. You don't even think and you do it. It's like, I don't know if that level of tzarech, we did see a shaila of tzarech mekoima, could be you could do even if you don't, I don't know if that's a tzarech at all. I don't know if there's any tzarech. Here, go, Levi. Does it help you, Levi? No, stand up and walk through. Does it help you at all? Levi, here it comes. No big Italian gumbo over here, right? Did it help? Yeah. Did it really help? No, it didn't. It didn't. Huh? No, it didn't. No, it didn't.
If it's old people, yeah.
Hmm?
It's only 75.
I think I'm going to hit you. When I go here, okay, it does help a little. No, stay. Plus that's good. Here, look. You're going to take this. Okay? So take it. It doesn't go back to the exact same place. It's not going back to the exact same place. Right? I'm not sure if you have that as it. It's not like you have to quite.
You can't put it back down. You have to drop it.
It was easier.
It's a little bit easier. I don't know if that warrants it. It's a little bit easier. I'm not sure if that's I need shots. That's the kind of thing you're supposed to do in a Sunday shiur to get you guys awake. No. All right, I'm sure. But what is it? Why is it good for? Every clear we spoke about something you do Isser with. It's something that it services an Isser. I don't know. I don't know what it is. I'm saying it's why, right? Not gufa, it's a kli, doing something. It's enabling an Isser. I don't know. It's enabling an Isser, let's say, right? Let's say. A little bit of a suffix. Until now, I said it's a tzira because maybe it goes back to the same place, but it doesn't go back to the same place. So Elamai just a klishmak l'yisrael tzarech mekoimai. It's not so much of a tzarech mekoimai. It's like a very slight. We never spoke about this. If you have something which is a tiny, tiny slight tzarech mekoimai, is that enough of a tzarech? Sure. Right, that's true. That's true, but this is different. This is you don't get any benefit. Maybe there's a mile, something that there's no mile at all. Like the Rashba said, even by klishmak l'heter. So kama by klishmak. All right, I'll let you think about one thing. We gotta stop in a minute, but think about your toilet this Shabbos, Rabbi said. All right, you go to the shul, and in the shul, I have it over here. There's a pipe that's coming from the air conditioning, and she goes right into the toilet tank. Okay, why do they do that? Now, this is only in the summertime when the actual air conditioning's on, right? Or in the wintertime, or in Iceland, or whatever, right? But whenever you have an air conditioning going, and the water is going, so why do they do that? Because the water goes into the pipe, right? They need a place for the water to go. What the better place to go than to wash down New York's finest? Okay. So now, is there any problem with that? That water is muksa. And where's muksa? It's Noiland. Zelmai comes along, Rabbi Rosenberg, and he says, it's bottle. Bottle is a lot more water than the air conditioning water, which is true. So what's the problem? What? So what's the problem? Davashesh matir. Davashesh matir is the field of the elephant bottle. Now, if you would put inside the toilet tank orange juice, right, or like tomato juice from the airplane, or chadaima, or some whiskey, perhaps, right? So then we could say it's a min be'enai minoi, and min be'enai minoi is bottle even by davar shesh matir. You know what I'm talking about? Good. If not, even better. But al kapanim. But usually the toilet tank is not like that. Okay, the toilet tank is water. We also have problems with tzveil. We're not getting it. So you have water, and the mela it's min be'minoi, and it's not bottle even be'elif. So what's the problem? The problem is the chayra. So now you're taking the water and you're moving the water, you're moving the muksa, and it's washing down all the tzaya. So what is that? So let's see. So it's tiltul minatzad. This will be tali in a shaila. We spoke once, tiltul minatzad, when I'm using the isser. Who remembers when we spoke about that shaila? What was the shaila? When I want to take the table with the candlesticks in a situation where the table was not muksa, it wasn't the basis, and now I move it there to use the light over there. Where the Chazon Ish told us, in Bnei Brak, you can't use the toilet. They ain't flushing over there, everybody said. Right? Because thus is tiltul minatzad for the purpose of using the muksa, because you want to use the muksa to wash down the tzaya. Right? Mashain Kane, if you go with the Mishnah Berurah, our Rabbi, okay, so it's tiltum minatzad. I'm indirectly moving the muksa. Let's tzarich what? Let's tzarich to use the muksa for what? For a davar mutter, to get rid of the tzaya. That's a davar mutter, to clean the toilet, a davar mutter. So first of all, right away, before you begin, this is a shaila between the Chazon Ish and the Mishnah Berurah. But then you get a little bit involved in that shaila, or maybe darkoi, maybe it's not called tiltum mitzad. The only thing is here is like a near. I know exactly what you're doing. When you're pulling it down, you're just like moving something and it happens on its own. I'm not sure how to be mizachit that so much. Well, you're harnessing a kayak. Harnessing a kayak is called tiltum mitzad. You're harnessing a kayak. You're holding, the water is being held by this. The person were to move, that's big kedemaya. The Gemara says in Nedra, you take that out, you kill somebody with that. It's considered koich. That might be tilted. Sorry? That's called metaltal water. Okay, but you're moving the water. You're making the water. I'm not sure what you're surprised about. That's called you're moving the water. It's called you're moving the water. But I don't know. What? There's another problem, God. Just as a moment. Well, it could be that gets into another shaila. That's right. The guy is saying, there's another problem, another solution. Right? They might be allowed to move muksa in order to what? To move a graf shalrei. But who asked you to set this up l'chatchila? You're not allowed to set up a graf shalrei if it's a situation of you're not. Who asked you to put it in there and cause this trouble? You're not allowed. No, you're not allowed on erev Shabbos to take muksa water, and that's going to say now I have no choice. But the only thing I can do is wash out the tzaya with muksa water when you didn't need to do that at all. Right? You only did it for the convenience, not of the graf shalrei. You'd be able to have the graf shalrei go away without that. You're the one that caused the problem. It could be if you're in that problem on Shabbos, we could die. Okay, but there's another problem which we never spoke about. One more. There's another problem which we didn't speak about, which is mishtamshis of muksa. Not the sugya. Are you allowed to be mishtamish with muksa? About this whole sugya, it's late. What happened today? Did we not really do anything? What? Let's say it's in your own house. I don't know. It's in your house. I'm saying this is what goes on in every Israeli toilet. Right? What? Yeah, that's what you want, right? Now don't ruin it. You started with this SMS. Don't. You said good today. You what? What? The whole Ger Stiebel, so listen, all the toilets over there and that's right? But then what happened to it? So we didn't do anything to it. What's going to do? What? Should we just give chumash? What? But we shouldn't skip chumash now. We didn't do anything. We didn't do anything. All right. Well, we did a little bit. I mean, you know more now than you knew last week, right? That's for sure. You didn't know anything about that opinion coming last week, right? Did anybody in this room knew there was a toilet problem in Bnei Brak? Right? Until this week, right? You guys are so bad. I don't know. Why do I have to hang out with you guys? I just don't understand it. Big Tzaddikim got to hang out with you. All right. Okay. I welcome all the listeners from Torah anytime to Yerushalayim, Yer HaKodesh. Welcome to Parshas Kisisa. It says like this. So this is after the Chet HaEgel. It's after the Chet HaEgel. And in Perek Lamed Zayin, Perek Lamed Gimel, Pasuk Zayin, it says like this. Moshe yikach es ha'oil v'notaloi michutz lamachane. They just done Chet HaEgel. Moshe Rabbeinu, them gedaven for Klal Yisrael, right? Emche me'asefer, the whole story. The Kadosh Baruch Hu is Michael. So what does Moshe Rabbeinu do now? After Chet HaEgel, where does Moshe Rabbeinu go after Chet HaEgel? People sometimes like a difficult skufa is to go like on vacation or something. Right? Where does Moshe Rabbeinu go after this difficult parsha? It was the most difficult parsha in Moshe's life, right? The whole Klal Yisrael, Chet HaEgel. So what is Moshe? Moshe yikach es ha'oil v'notaloi michutz lamachne. Moshe moved. He moved divers. He moved. He relocated. He used to be in the Machane, and Moshe Rabbeinu took his tent and he relocated. Harchek min ha-Machane. Harchek min ha-Machane. He went far away from the Machane. The Karolai Oil Moyed. He gave it like a new shtetl. He opened up a new town and he called it Oil Moyed, and that was it, far away. If anybody wants Moshe, Moshe's by far. Yetzel oil moed Hashem yichutz lamachana. Very interesting pasuk, no? I'm right that most people don't even sound late to this pasuk. You don't even like pay attention. Moshe Rabbeinu after Chet HaEgel, he moved. He moved. He relocated. He was very, I don't know. Does Rashi say anything over here? It's like all distraught. I don't know. The Oisei oven. From that point, from that Avera and onward, he took it out. He went and moved. Harchek Alpayim Amma. He went outside the Tchum. Anybody that wants to come to Moshe, what they do on Shabbos? They're outside the Tchum. What do they do? So anybody who wants to come to Moshe Rabbeinu, he has to come to me. Rabbi said it's a very big slap. You know, Kallus just got patch from Chet HaEgel, patch. And now what happens? Now their leader Moshe Rabbeinu gives them a patch. No, gives them a patch. I don't even want to be near you anymore. So the Talmud did an avla. Talmidim did an avla, and he davened on behalf of the Talmidim. And of course, Baruch Hu was Michael to whatever extent or something. And what does Moshe Rabbeinu do? Moshe Rabbeinu says, "I'm leaving and whatever." Imagine, do you think any Bali Tshuva came from such actions? You think that anybody said, you know what? You know what happened to the Yamin Mekarev and the small Daicha? Okay, so he should have like moved at least within the Tchum. You know, he didn't have to move all the way outside the Tchum. So I don't know. Maybe it's not such a kasha. But there's a Gemara in Brachos. There was a great goyin, and he was called the goyin from Unsdorf. That's how big a goyin he was. That was his name, the goyin from Unsdorf. Right? Unsdorf. And he had a kasha, he had this kasha and another kasha. So the Gemara in Brachos of Daf Kaf Ches, very famous Gemara. Gemara says over there that when Rabbi Gamliel was the Rosh Hashiva, the Nasi, so Rabbi Gamliel only let people into the base medrash that had toichai kibara. If your inside was like your outside, then you were allowed into the base medrash. But if your inside was not as pure as your outside, you were not allowed into the base medrash. And the Gemara says the story that Rabbi Gamliel, there were no games. Rabbi Gamliel used to be ma'amid a shomer by the door. If you're toichai kibara, matakanaim coming. If you're not like toichai kibara, you used to kick them out. The shomer used to stand by the door. The guy said, he would stand by the door, he'd look at you, no, you, out. Right? The next guy, you. It's a Pelvic Gemisa, right? And what happened? Rabbi Gamliel lost his job, he lost his stellar. Whole story over there, the Ganzen story, Rabbi Lazar ben Azariah, the Ganzen Maisa, the Yeshua, the whole story. And that day, the base medrash used to be mamish locked, and they'd have shoyim and everything. They had chaverim, they had all the chaver out there standing and not letting everybody into the base medrash. On that day, the Rabbi Lazar ben Azariah became the Rosh Hashiva, he became the Nasi. All of a sudden, they added into the base medrash, who remembers 400 sapsalim, v'yeshoimim 700 sapsalim. On that day, they came into the base medrash, 400 sapsalim, 400 new benches came into the base, 400 benches, right? 700 benches came into the base medrash. It's the whole Gemara's a Pella. First of all, what's going on here? Where were all these people before? So many people that didn't have toichai kibara, and all of a sudden they did have toichai kibara, and and all of a sudden all the non-toichai kibara people want to start learning. I have the kasha, and Rabbi said, what shomer could tell if you're a toichai kibara? Everybody walked in there, yadaina gate with a black hat and a jacket, or a gartel and a beaver hat, and everybody was the same. So what? He's able to say, and you know. What do you do? He checked the mikveh pass and see, did you go? Right? How's he going to know? How's anybody going to be able to tell if it's a toichai kibara? What kind of shomer can tell if toichai kibara? Void, fractor going from Unsdorf. Fractor a kasha like this. I love the kasha. Who cares about the benches? Did you say that day 23,000 talmidim came to the base medrash? 400 benches were added to the base medrash. 700 benches. Like you know what? The answer is there's a lot of people out there that they learn Torah. They learn Torah. You know why? Because of the social pressure. Either a shver, either a social standing. Everybody's coming to learn. Right? Brothers, other brother-in-laws, and whatever, other people doing it, etc. Right? Social reasons, social reasons, and whatever. Father, share this, that, whatever. Right? It's the right thing to do, because that's what everybody's doing. Right? And it's hard to tell sometimes who's the people that are like that and who the people that they're emistic opinions is to learn Torah, to learn Torah, that their life is Torah and nothing else. Right? So Rabbi Gamliel, with his great wisdom, was ma'amid a shomer by the base medrash. What's the purpose of a shomer? When someone is not toichai kibara, and it's not coming from him. It's externally why he's going to learn Torah. He learns Torah because, that's what I have to do. That's what's done. That's what's whatever, etc. So then when there's a shomer by the door or there's any excuse, I'm not coming, right? And I'll make a I'll explain, I can't learn with that kind of pressure, right? Well, once it's not coming from me, so then, this base medrash that, there's not enough benches in here. There's not enough, the air conditioning is no good. There's too much pressure over here. You have to be here at a certain time. I'll find a different base medrash. When he's somebody that's learning because of the social pressure, so when the pressure becomes too difficult in the learning, so then he's not going to learn. Then he's not going to learn. I'll find a different base medrash. The people that are Toichlik Kebarai, the people that the emistic opinion is to learn Torah, it doesn't matter what's there. I'm going to learn Torah. The shomer is there by the door. He's still telling him, there's not enough room here, and this and that. I'm going to learn. I'll learn on the floor. Right? I'll learn at the train station. I don't care where I'm going to learn. Just let me in. Right? So the idea of the shomer, of Rabbi Gamliel's shomer, was just to be a mega type of person. Those people didn't come to the basement. There's nothing to worry about. On that day when Rabbi Gamliel left his Steller and the Rosh Hashiva, Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah took over and he led in the people, he took away the shomer. On that day, they knew who's going to come back. The people that they need that comfort, and we have to make them comfortable. So they brought in benches, 400 benches, some say 700 benches. And when there are benches over there, we got to keep them here. We got to make it comfortable we got to make it easy for them to learn. Because they're not coming with the Toichlik Kebarai. They're coming because, everybody learns. You got to learn, et cetera, et cetera. So we want to keep them here. We got to make it that it's comfortable. We got to make it that it's easy to learn. That's the pshat in the Gemara. Toichlik Kebarai, the people that love Torah. The people that learn Torah not because of the external, not because of what everybody else is doing, etc. That's what it is. And the Mela, that's a pshat over here by Moshe Rabbeinu. The pshat by Moshe Rabbeinu is that Moshe Rabbeinu saw these people say, Nasiv and Ishma. You want to keep Torah and mitzvahs? Nasiv and Ishma. Father, we love Torah. Everybody said Nasiv and Ishma. 603,550 men screamed out, Nasiv and Ishma. Everybody screamed out loud, Nasiv and Ishma. Now, all of a sudden, the going got a little bit tough. They didn't know what it was going to be. Moshe Rabbeinu comes back. He's not coming back. What's going to be? We're going to be alone and this and the midbar and everything. What's going to be? And here's Torah and this. And they said, let them make an egel. Let's make an egel. No, stuck Moshe Rabbeinu. Now we have to find out. We have to make a filter process over here. Who the Torah people? Who the people I can rely on? Who are the Torah people? Who are the people that they'll learn Torah year mash year? So he's going to take his house. He's going to take his tent, and he moved his tent outside the machane. What's going to happen when he takes his tent outside the machane? The people that want to learn Torah, they're going to come. The people that they have to say Nasi B'Nishma because everybody else is saying Nasi B'Nishma, they have to learn Torah because everybody else is doing it. So then, today my feet hurt, it's far, it might rain, and also, I could go tomorrow, and there's other abundant that you can ask also, and whatever, and then the males, they're not going to come. They're not going to come. And the ones that are going to want to come, they're the ones that are Toichlik Kebarai. So Moshe Rabbeinu was not doing it as Machal. Moshe Rabbeinu was trying to figure out who are the Toichlik Kebarai. He's wanting to make it that the people should learn Torah, and they should become Toichlik Kebarai. Pneumistic people. There was a great Jew. His name was Meir Chadash. Meir Chadash, Rav Aaron Chadash. His father, Meir Chadash. It's a great Jew. Some hear about he has a sefer about his life story in a tansis, in a nutshell. His life story. He was a 12-year-old boy, and his mother said to him, "You got to go to yeshiva because what's going to be with you if you just sit around over here?" He wasn't in a town that had that type of level of yeshiva. You got to go like your cousin Label's in Slobodka, right? But he was a 12-year-old boy. So maybe mama, maybe I should wait till the bar mitzvah. So what are you gonna what are you gonna gain? So you'll be a bar mitzvah amaretz. You'll be an amaretz by your bar mitzvah. Why don't you go now learn Torah in yeshiva, and then at least you'll be something for the purpose of bar mitzvah. You'll know a little bit. So when but how's he supposed to go? He's a 12-year-old boy, and to go himself to yeshiva and whatever. It's like they didn't take 12-year-old boys into yeshiva. We think all the yeshivas had like a bunch of kids in diaperloch and dots running around. It wasn't like that. A bunch of iluyim. No, there was no such thing. Especially by the turn of the century already, there was no such thing. It's okay. So when he came back, Label, his cousin who was learning in Slobodka, so I'll take him. He wants to learn Torah. So go to yeshiva. Came to yeshiva until they got there. It took time, obviously. 12-year-old boy wasn't simple. They had to cross borders. What boys say. They had to cross the border. Right? I heard part of the story from Aaron Chadash, the kind of the I heard the other part of the story from his brother, Moshe Chadash. I heard the rest of it. I saw in the book. As he crossed the border. They crossed the border. They got there. They saw the big river outside of the Kovna, and they got to Kovna. He came in Label with his cousin, the 12-year-old boy. It's about this big. He came into the mashkiach. And he said to Mashgiach, he wants a faher for the. Right away, the Mashgiach said, "What are you bringing children to?" And it wasn't like like they both knew Yiddish. And he said it to him in Yiddish. It wasn't like he said to him, "Was brengt the Chayingel do?" And he said, "Yeah, was brengt the Chayingel do?" He said, "What are you bringing a child here? It's not the children. It's not a place." He said, "No, but he's very good. Give him a faher." Started giving him a faher. So not only did he tell him he's not in, not only did he tell him he's not taking a child into, but the label got yelled at. What are you bringing children to? What were you thinking to bring to Slobodka child? What were you thinking? What are you thinking? Right? But he was, strong-minded, and with a tremendous koyach of ratzin, and he wanted to learn. And where he was, it wasn't shy for him to be learning. So he decided he's going to persevere, but he wasn't in yeshiva. So he had to get a bed. So they knocked on all the doors in Kovna. Does anybody have a bed? Right? So they found a bed that had 3 legs. Now, that's the guy. When you have a bed that has 3 legs, it doesn't work. Right? It doesn't work. It's not like, like you have a table with 3 legs, like in the middle, but it doesn't work. So and then it was also rusty. And then probably not so healthy, right? Bed bugs, halavai, alligators, right? Halavai, bed bugs, right? But it's okay, but we got a bed. So they could be sleeping, no place to sleep. We have the bed. So they gave him the bed. So now they went to the forest and they got different rocks that would make it that the bed would stay, right? But where's he going to sleep? So they found in Kovna a place that the person told them that he could sleep in the project, like in the hallway, right by the door. But every morning he has to take that bed out and he has to continue to walk through the hallway, right? So this 12-year-old boy, that's where he slept. Well, how's he going to eat? He wanted to prove himself in the yeshiva, but maybe they'll give him a faher properly. How's he going to eat? So he still had a little bit bread from his mother from the trip, and his mother gave him like a mardika oitzer, a little like a stick of butter. There wasn't that much butter. It was smeared with a lot of love, but there wasn't so much butter. Not so much love. A lot of love, but not so much butter. And then that's what he had. But the Meister that only lasted for another 4 days. So he found some little odd job that he could do. And with that, he was able to buy old bread. And then if anybody would see him, he also found there was like a makovet person who had like a fishmonger, right? Who was masking to give him the yoich. I can't explain yoich. Exactly. Yeah. So he would be able to dip his bread in the yoich, but basically. And then if somebody would see him with the bread, let's say when he would try to hang out with the yeshiva, he didn't want people to think that he wasn't. So he would take like a sliver of his butter, like a layer of his butter, and then put it on the bread to look like he had like a hoin rav, he had like a spoon, a knife, and butter, and that's what he ate. For about 3 weeks, this continued. He learned with label, but he couldn't learn with the multi law because he was in yeshiva and he was not, right? And slowly, it started to get to him because he was all alone. He was all alone, and he couldn't really be around yeshiva. And a 12-year-old boy, and what happened was after a few weeks, he was basically about to break. He went to Slobodka to talk to Bacher one day, and he was about to break. There was a Bacher there whose name was Yechezkel Bernstein. Who knows who that is? The Divrei Yechezkel. He became the Rosh Hashiva, I think, of the Yeshiva over there, whatever. The guy's a guy. And he told him, persevere. I was your age. I did the same thing. You could do it. Persevere. And he persevered for another 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks. He went like that for about 2.5 months. After about 3 months, so people started knowing about this little boy in Slobodka. Right? This little boy that in the course of those few months had learned Kedushin cover to cover with Gemara Rashi Taisus. At that point already, the Bachram said maybe it's good to give him a faher. Maybe it's like that. So I gave him a faher just to make him feel good. We'll test him on Rashi. And he knew every Taisus in Kedushin. And then that's how he got into Slobodka. Because when you persevere, when it's difficult, when you have Toicha Kibarai, so somehow you're going to get in. When you have Toicha Kibarai, somehow you're going to get in. And even if they close the door, and even if this, but if the reason why you learn Torah is because everybody's learning Torah, so then when there's any reason not to learn Torah, then you won't learn Torah. And that's the biggest side you see over here. Look, the Nimshal, I think, is Bar. There's a lot at the end of this man, right? At the end of this man. And, at the end of this man. So sometimes you feel like, is it, not everybody stays. And also you think to yourself, like, is it Kedai to stay? And all these types of thoughts. Yeah. It's kedai to stay. Whatever you do, when you're toicha kibara, you stay till the end. You stay to them when you're learning Torah, not because everybody else is. It's true. At the end of this month, not everybody else is. There's a lot of decisions people are making now about staying for Pesach, not staying for Pesach. And these are difficult decisions. I'm not saying they're very difficult decisions, and but just realize at least one thing, that when you give for Torah, and that's coming from your emistic rotzen to learn Torah, and not because everybody else is doing it, but because I know that I might lose out in Torah if I don't stay till the end of this month, if I don't stay in Pesach and whatever. I know these are difficult decisions, and I'm not judging anybody that's not able to. I'm just giving chizik to those that are able to. Just realize that when you make such decisions, then that reveals the Toichei Kabbalah. That reveals the Toichei Kabbalah. I must tell you that I never left any Zman early in my life, ever. I never came late to his Zman, and I never left early from his Zman ever in my life. I'm saying that's I can't talk more because then it would be self-promo, right? But that I had a lot of success, and maybe it came from that. Never left early, ever. Not as a bacher, not as a Geman, never left early. Because that's this man goes till when this man goes. Right? I not everybody's learning and not everybody stays. Yeah, but when you're talking about that doesn't make any nafkamina. Right? My sister got married, Yud Tetzvav Tammuz, or something like that, I think. Mamash at the end of this man to go back. I had to go to America. And then, but I was in Lova Babasha, so I came back. Most people, they would just stay for the bungalow, right? But it doesn't work like that. This man goes to when this man goes. This man goes to when this man goes. And when you persevere and you fight and you push because you love Torah, that's when you have success in Torah. But when Torah starts pushing back and it gets difficult to learn and this and that and whatever, right? And so then, but if you Torah Kabbalah, nothing else matters. It's a little bit harsh Musar, no? It's a little bit harsh Musar, but you guys are still here. You guys are still here, so you give me chizik. Not hard. No, sometimes the person does have to go. Sometimes there's no child and he has to go. But the ones that stay, they shouldn't feel like I'm missing out. You're not missing out. Forget what's being revealed is Toichei Kabbalah. That's a very important insight. Okay, good job. That's what it is.
What do you mean by Venezuela?
What did I do?
Yeah, but you did one day.
I came back. Guys, so what?
One day this month.
No, that's wrong. No, You're such an American. Oh my goodness, you're such an American. Wait.
I know.
First question my wife says, where is his wife? Where's the car? Rabbi say, I shake hands now.
Shake.
What's this?
Hugs. I got some last year.
Like my shopping. Who's right?
No, because you have to tell to the Hamon now. But that didn't mean we have to worry about the Hamon now.
Who's right? My shopping.
Rami, don't forget to go to the mikvah. It's still open. It's still open. It's only 10:15 in the morning. You can still go.
Why did Michelle Baden wait? Why did Michelle wait after?